back at Vijaya as the sun sets. I'm Diana. Join me as we witness the tragic final chapter of the Champa Empire.
Today, we explore the tragic decline of Champa, a saga of epic wars and territorial losses. How did a maritime empire begin to crumble? It was not a sudden fall, but a slow, painful fading. Trapped between two rising powers, north and west, witness the final glorious light before the shadow. This is the story of a kingdom fighting for survival. Welcome to Archaeology Time Channel Episode 7. Stay with us to uncover the truth behind the ruins. Our journey into Champa's decline starts now. We begin in the year 1069, a dark turning point. The year the first cracks appeared in the empire. History is written in stone, and stone never forgets. Based on Lafon's The Kingdom of Champa, History and People. Based on Lafon's The Kingdom of Champa, History and People. By the 11th century, Champa faced intense pressure. Viet in the north was growing stronger than ever. In 1069, King Rajavarman III led a failed campaign. He was captured by the army of King Li Tantone. To gain freedom, he made a painful sacrifice. He surrendered 3 key provinces to the north. Viet, Li, Malin, and Bochin were lost forever. This broke the natural shield of the kingdom. The border retreated south of the Huyen Pass. Dr. Lafont explains the fatal impact of demographic pressure. A dispersed Champa struggled against a unified rival. Each lost province was a blow to their maritime base. In 1306, another major territory was ceded. The marriage of Princess Hw and Cham cost 2 lands. O and Li provinces became part of Viet territory. Champa's core was exposed to future invasions. The people watched their homeland shrink in size. But territory was not the only thing they lost. Constant war drained the wealth of the royal court. The glorious towers of Misan were now in danger. Yet, the Shams did not surrender their spirit. They rebuilt, they fought, and they adapted. But the geopolitical tide was turning against them. Vijaya became the new center of resistance. A fortress city built to withstand any siege. Its red walls were a symbol of defiance. But history had more trials in store for Champa. A new threat was rising from the western horizon. The mighty Khmer Empire of Angkor was marching. Champa was now trapped between 2 giants. War on 2 fronts became a brutal reality. How could they survive this dual pressure? The ocean remained their only hope for survival. Trade continued, but the routes were changing. The internal structure of the Mandala weakened. Local lords focused on their own survival. The central authority in Vijaya struggled to rule. This fragmentation was the enemy from within. The golden age was fading into a long twilight. Now, let's see how they faced the Khmer and Mongols. Champa now faced a lethal threat from the west. The Khmer Empire of Angkor was at its military peak. For over a century, the 2 nations were at total war. Champa was often invaded and turned into a province. Yet, the spirit of resistance never truly died out. In 1177, a bold Cham fleet sailed up the Mekong. They launched a surprise attack on the heart of Angkor. The Khmer capital was captured and set ablaze. It was a stunning display of Champa's naval power. But such victories came at a devastating cost. Resources were drained, and the land was exhausted. Then, a global shadow fell upon the kingdom. The Mongol Empire's expansion reached Southeast Asia. Kublai Khan demanded submission from the Cham king, King Indravarman. V chose defiance over surrender. In 1282, General Tuado landed a massive fleet. The Shams used the mountains as their shield. They abandoned the plains for the central highlands. A brutal guerrilla war began in the dense jungles. Mongol cavalry struggled in the heat and terrain. Champa and Viet formed a rare alliance. Together, they bled the Mongol invaders dry. By 1285, the Mongols were forced to retreat. Champa remained independent, but his fields were bare. The irrigation systems were ruined by years of fire. Economic recovery was slow and incredibly difficult. The social fabric of the kingdom began to fray. Religious shifts were also taking place in the south. Local beliefs mixed with the fading Hindu rituals. But the spirit of a warrior king was about to rise. A leader who would strike back at the north. His name would become a legend in Khmer history. Chaebongga, the last great conqueror of Champa. He aimed to reclaim all lost lands of the past. His reign brought a final brilliant flash of power. But was it a true recovery or just an illusion? We examine the cost of his constant military glory. The 14th century was a century of blood and iron. The survival of the kingdom hung by a thread. Let's see the rise and fall of the Red King. Welcome to Vijaya, the heart of Champa's final glory. From the 11th to 15th century, supreme power sat here. Modern-day Bingding was a land of towering majesty. Thapdoi stands as a silent witness to the end. Ban E Tower watched the final sunset of Vijaya. These stones felt the weight of a falling empire. The Bindin style was the empire's final bow. This was the era of the legendary King Chaebongga. He was the Red King who reclaimed all lost lands. Under his rule, Champa became a regional superpower. His fleet was the terror of the South China Sea. 3 times his army captured the capital, Townlong. Khmer's dominance. But this military glory hit a crumbling foundation. Years of war drained the kingdom's people and wealth. Trade was ignored for the sake of constant conquest. When the king fell in 1390, the spirit broke apart. Internal conflicts began to tear the Mandala system. The central authority in Vijaya could no longer lead. Meanwhile, a new power was rising in the north. The led dynasty of Viet was stronger than ever. King-led Tan Tome prepared for a final campaign. In 1471, 200,000 soldiers marched south. Vijaya was surrounded by land and by the deep sea. With modern muskets, the red walls could not hold. The citadel fell in a storm of blood and fire. 60,000 Shams were killed in the chaos. 30,000 were captured as royal prisoners. The Champa royal lineage was effectively severed. Sanskrit inscriptions vanished from the stone walls. This was the end of Indianized Champa forever. The kingdom was split into 3 small parts. Vijaya was annexed, and the border moved south. Only Panduranga remained as a shadow of the past. The architectural mastery of the Shams was lost. No more great towers would touch the high heavens. The people began to move away from Hindu rituals. A new identity was forged in the southern sands. But the memory of Vijaya still lives in these bricks. Every broken statue tells a story of lost grandeur. Champa taught the world about naval dominance and about the fragility of empires built on war. The collapse changed Southeast Asia forever. A civilization transitioned from empire to minority.
I walk through these ruins and feel the loss. The silence of Vijaya is loud with history.
They mastered the waves, but time mastered them. History is a cycle of rising and falling tides. Vijaya's fall was the dusk of a golden era. Now, we look at the legacy that survived the storm. What remains after a mighty maritime empire falls? The legacy is more than just broken red bricks. It is the enduring spirit of a resilient people. Champa transitioned from an empire to a minority, but their cultural DNA never truly disappeared. Look at the late steles found in Panduranga. They record the survival of laws and traditions. Indianized rituals evolved into indigenous forms. Shivaism merged with the cult of the ancestors. This flexibility is the secret of their longevity. The memory of the Red King lives in oral epic. History survived through stories, not just stones. Dr. Lafont's work reveals this profound cultural transition. Champa didn't die, it transformed to survive. Today, the Cham people keep the flame burning. In the patterns of silk and the sound of drums, the Kate Festival is a living link to the past. It honors the kings who once ruled the waves. The ruins of Vijaya are silent teachers of history. They teach us about the fragility of power and the strength of identity against all odds. This heritage belongs to the whole of humanity. UNESCO protects Misan as a site of world value. Each brick touched is a connection to the 15th century.
We must preserve these sites for our children, to learn from the wisdom of ancient masters.
Champa's story is an integral part of Vietnam, a bridge between diverse cultures and eras. From the central coast to the southern sands, the Maritime Silk Road left its mark here. Archaeology continues to dig for hidden truths. Every new find adds a page to their epic book. Champa is a testament to human endurance, turning tragedy into a legacy of cultural beauty. Their glory is faded, but their soul is eternal. The fall of Vijaya was an end, but also a beginning. Every stone tells a story of survival and change. The sun sets on the towers, but history remains. Champa's journey continues in the southern lands. In the next episode, we visit the final kingdom. Episode 8, Panduranga, the last breath of Champa. Discover how they survived until the 19th century. If you value this history, please like and share. Subscribe to Arch in Time for more ancient secrets. Special thanks to the legacy of Dr. Pierre Bernard Lafont.
I am Diana. Thank you for watching our journey. See you in the next chapter of Champa's epic saga.